Hello, I'm Brian Fox. Welcome to my channel. I hate rock music. And today I announced the death of David Thomas, the founder and leader of Pere for many, many years. And he's dead at 71 after having health problems for quite some time. It's really interesting to read the anecdotes about his death. Apparently, he was listening to MC5 while he slipped into the other world. And so Pere was around from 1975 and is still active in the world today. And apparently, David Thomas and Pere were working on a final album. He knew it was going to be his last record, and that will be released at some point, and it will be pretty poignant to listen to it, especially keeping in mind that his awareness that it would be his final record. But Pere what a interesting and unique band. Of course, they came out of Cleveland in 1975. Previous to that, there was a band called Rocket from the Tombs that included David Thomas and Cheetah Chrome, who ended up in the Dead Boys. So apparently, Rocket from the Tombs split, and part of the band became Pere and part of the band became the Dead Boys. So quite a legacy to leave behind. Of course, Peter Laffner was a founder member of the group as well, and he's a legendary figure who died young. And Pere released 4 singles independently in the early days and on the Harridan label. And then, of course, in 1978, their first album was released, The Modern Dance, on a Mercury Records spin-off for new punk bands. And as far as I know, the only 2 records that came out on that label were Pere and the Suicide Commandos, which are also an interesting band. But the Modern Dance album came out in 1978, and I remember it really well. I didn't really know much about the band, and I was working in a record store, and they got some promos, and nobody else wanted it. And so I snagged both Pere and Suicide Commandos. And Pere pretty much blew me away right off the bat. Really hard to describe their music. And David Thomas's really distinct vocals. Of course, at that time he went under the moniker Crocus Behemoth. And since then, of course, they released probably upwards of 30 albums, studio albums. There's a ton of live records out there, and then their Bandcamp site has an incredible amount of archival material, live shows. So the band is definitely fully documented, and they went through a lot of different members over the years, and tried a lot of different approaches to their music. At one point, they came out with albums like Clouds in what I would call their mid-period, where they tried to be commercial, and there's just no way for David Thomas really to be commercial, and those records are an interesting artifact. But the band had a lot of notable players over the years, including Chris Cutler from Henry Cow. And somehow David Thomas, just out of the sheer originality of what he did, managed to surround himself with a lot of really amazing musicians who appreciated his uniqueness, including Chris Cutler and guitar folk rock legend from England, Richard Thompson. He has a number of solo records out as well that are also very intriguing. And all the records up to now have all been pretty interesting, and it's definitely worthwhile that they had the Pere moniker, even though the band shifted from record to record in a lot of different lineups and different musicians. It was all really unique, a unique vision of David Thomas and his unforgettable vocals. I was fortunate enough to see him live once in 1978. I think that was the Dub Housing tour, and it was really interesting. I saw the show for $1. They had dollar concerts here at the Paramount in Seattle at the time, and so I got to see Pere by accident. I forget who the headliner was. It might have been Magazine, and it was just an unforgettable show. I'm really glad to have seen Pere kind of in their prime, the original band. And I'll never forget David Thomas on stage with a box of glass that he would pound with a hammer. And then I also got to see them again. I sometime in the '80s, I believe, for the album Ray Gun Suitcase. It was a reunion of the band of some sorts, and they were doing a lot of the hits, and a young lineup in the band, and a really compelling show. There's probably about 50 people there in a small club, and then I got to see him, I think 4 or 5 years ago, maybe a little longer than that, with one of his modern incarnations of his band, and his health wasn't that good at that point. He was singing sitting in a chair. And so I did get to see him 3 times for as long as they've been around. That's not very many times, but every chance I got an opportunity to see Pere Ubu, I certainly did. One of my favorite bands ever, and again, such a unique blend of music. Um, I'm not even sure how to describe it. Most people know full well, if they're familiar with Pere Ubu, what they did and what David Thomas did, and his interesting storytelling and his interesting, unique vocals. If anybody could be called a unique vocalist, it's certainly David Thomas. The fact that he made an entire career out of singing the way he did is a wonderful thing. Although certainly they never achieved any financial success per se. They're definitely recognized and have had a lot of influence on a lot of other bands that would be hard to quantify. But 71 seems like an early age for him to die, only 3 years older than I am. And but as I pointed out, thankfully we've got an amazing amount of material, a very full career, and not one of those people who died young and left us wanting for more. There's a ton of material out there, and with all its variety and originality, we're blessed to have it all. And then, of course, all the archive material that will be around for years for everyone to enjoy. So, sad day, but inevitable. David Thomas, leader, Pere Ubu, dead at 71. I'm Brian Fox. Thanks for watching I Hate Rock Music.